So I know I'm not here today, but I'm going to go over with you how to do the apply question. So you guys just review measuring out your macaroni noodles and your beans on how to divide a whole number into a fraction. And today our apply is going to give us a real world situation, much like what you just did, thinking about serving sizes, that real world application. So in your book, please open to page 163. That's where you're going to find this apply question. We're going to need this table that's here on page 163. All right, here's what your question says. The table shows the ingredients needed to make one batch of salad dressing. A chef has 3 tablespoons of garlic. She made the greatest number of whole batches possible. How much garlic remains? So the important pieces that I know from this problem is this. This is my recipe for salad dressing. My chef needs to know and is talking about the amount of garlic according to the problem. It doesn't ask me about the oil. It doesn't ask me about the vinegar. The only piece of information it says I need to worry about is the garlic. So that's the only piece that I'm going to worry about. The other information is all helpful information if I was actually going to make this salad dressing. So what I know from this problem is that the chef has 3 whole tablespoons. So I have 3 whole tablespoons. 1 serving is 2/3. That gets me 1 serving of my salad dressing. So my chef wants to know, here's what is the task. What is the greatest number of whole batches possible? And then how much remains? What does he have left over? So here we go. 3 wholes. I need to divide that into 2/3. Now remember, we talked about this yesterday. We can do this problem 2 ways. If you like the pictures, you can draw out your 3 wholes. It says break your 3 wholes into 3 pieces. And then you're coloring them by 2s. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. This is the 1 left over. Okay, just 1 left over. Sorry, I hit my book against the screen. So there's 1 left over. Now I can look at my picture and see that I have 1 group. There's a second group, 3rd group, 4th group. So 4 whole groups and 1 out of my 1, 2 that I was counting by left over. So I can make 4.5 batches of salad dressing. Now again, we looked at it yesterday by using your equation here. So you could have taken 3 and put it over 1, and you're ready to divide by 2/3. Remember, we said yesterday, we need to get our total number of pieces, just like we were drawing out the picture. And to do that, we switched to multiplying and used our reciprocal. Because now I know 3 times 3 is 9, which is how many total boxes I had. And I'm going to break it into groups of 2. And when I take 9 and I divide it into groups of 2, well, 2 will go into 9 4 times. And I have 1 left over, just like I had 1 left over here. So I have 1 over the 2 that I was trying to get into the group. So no matter what, here's what I found out. 4.5 batches is what this amount of garlic is going to make. So let's analyze our answer here. Question 1. She made the greatest number of whole batches possible. So the answer is how many batches? 4. So she can make 4 whole batches. Now the second part of this question is what I told you that we were going to do today. We're going to talk about this leftover that's left. So there's a half of a batch left. That doesn't mean it's half of a tablespoon. It's half of a batch. So here's what I know. Half of this batch is left over, and it took 2/3 to make the whole batch. So I'm going to take half of 2/3, and that of just means make it a multiplication problem. Whoops, I wrote my number backwards. Half of 2/3, so 1/2 times 2/3. So 1 times 2 is 2. 2 times 3 is 6. So I have 2/6 of a serving left over. Or you probably notice 2 and 6 both can be simplified if we want to make an equivalent fraction by making this 1/3. So I have 1/3 of a tablespoon left over. So 1/3 is my leftover amount. 1/3 of a tablespoon. Okay. I had half the batch left over. Half of 2/3 is 1/3. If I split 2/3 in half, I just have 1/3. Okay, so this problem had multiple steps, and hopefully you've taken good notes because we've talked about that a lot as we've worked through these applies. Our first challenge was to take our whole and to divide it into these 2/3 pieces, either using our pictures or our equations. You don't have to do both, remember. And we find out that we can make 4.5 batches. But my problem said how many total batches. So we can make 4 total batches. Then it asks, but what part is left over? Well, we got half of a batch left over. That batch was supposed to be 2/3. So we do 1/2 of 2/3, or 1/2 times 2/3, and we get ourselves 1/3 of a tablespoon left over. Now, if you're wondering if you wrote 2/6 of a tablespoon, would Miss Hunter count it right? Your answer is yes, because remember, those fractions are equivalent. So that would mean the same thing. Okay? Lots of times when we're measuring, it goes down to the simplest form where we get the 1 on top. As you noticed when you were doing my cups, they were all 1/3, 1/2, 1/4, 1 cup, because that's usually how we measure. All right. So there is a check on the back of this page 163. I want you to do your best. We're going to set the timer for about 4 minutes. I want you to think through, what do you know? What is it asking you? And after that 4 minutes, we'll share out with a partner and see if we can get our answers. All right, if you'll please pause the video to give them time to work. All right, so hopefully you have some of your problem done. You may not have all of it done, and that's okay. But you are going to work with your partner to finish out this question. that you are working on. All right? Remember, as you work with a partner, you should be explaining how you got that. If you don't understand something your partner's telling you to do, make sure you ask. All right, you've got 5. Please take your book and pencil. Find a partner that has the same color pencil as you have. 4, make sure you're looking for that pencil. 3, find a partner. 2, 1, find a partner that doesn't have one if you don't have a partner, and get to work. Again, please pause the video and give them time to work. All right, wrap up those discussions and make it back to your seat, please. Discussions and seats in 3, 2, 1. All right, let's see what we're doing. So this time we have an ingredients to make some fudge. All right. So a cook has 5 cups of evaporated milk. She wants to make the greatest number of whole batches possible and then figure out how much does she have left over. So here's what I've heard. Here's what I know. I have 5 whole cups of evaporated milk. When I look at my table, I'm not using any of this information. Oh my table is not the same as yours. Oh well, look at your table, not the one that's on the screen. And it looks like evaporated milk is 3/4 of a cup. So that 3/4 is how much I need for 1 batch of fudge. But I have 5 cups. So I'm trying to figure out how many whole batches can I make before I'm going to run out of evaporated milk. So again, here is your options. Draw your 5 and break it up, or you're welcome to work out the equation. I'm going to show you both ways. Please make sure you're getting these in your notes so that you have them, because your applied questions on your assignment, you're going to want to use these. All right, if you chose to draw pictures, you and your partner should have 5 rectangles. And according to my fraction, my rectangles need to be broken into 4 pieces. So I'm going to break each rectangle into 4 pieces. And then my top number says each group gets 3. So I'm going to color each group with 3. So there's one group. 1, 2, 3. There's a second group. 1, 2, 3. There's a third group. 1, 2, 3. There's a fourth group. 1, 2, 3. There's a fifth group. 1, 2, 3. There's a sixth group. And look here, I have 2 out of the 3 left over. So I was able to make 6 whole groups. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And 2 out of my 3 are left over. So here's what I can make. According to my problem, I can make 6 2/3 batches. Now let's do it with the equation and see if we get the same answer here. So you could have chose with your partner to work on the equation. So the equation says take your 5 and break it into 3/4. So here we said, first thing we did over here was break that all into pieces. So we're going to change our 5/1. We're going to leave our 5/1, change our 4/3 to the reciprocal. So now we can figure out how many pieces do I have all together. Well, 5 times 4 is 20. 1 times 3 is 3. So that means I started with 20 pieces, and if I wanted to count them all up, I could. So I start with 20 pieces, and I counted them by threes. So I write my division equation, 20 divided by 3. Well, let's see. 7 gets me 21, so that's too big. Let's go with 6. 6 times 3 is 18. Got to regroup when I subtract. So I have 2 left over, or 6 and 2/3 left over. So we have 6 and 2/3 batches. Both of these answers are the exact same, no matter whether I do the pictures or whether I use the equations. So here's what I know. They can make 6 batches. That's part 1. That's my total batches. However, they have leftover. There was a leftover 2/3 batch. So that 2/3 that was left over was 2/3 of the 3/4 that it took me to make a whole serving of fudge. So I'm going to take that 2/3, multiply it by the 3/4, and see exactly how many cups I have left. Well, let's see. 2 times 3 is 6. 3 times 4 is 12. So I have 6/12 of a cup. Or if you're thinking, hey, wait a minute, 6 goes into 12 twice. So that just means I have half of a cup left. So I have half of a cup left after I make 6 whole batches. All right, so you are going to begin working on your assignment, and they'll get that assignment up on the board. Remember, 2 of your questions are 2 of these applies. Use your notes as you're working through them. Don't forget your assignment is due today. Good luck, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.